Hey everybody, and welcome to Beefmaster Banner. We're your hosts, Josh Morrison and Jared Strickland. What's going on, man?
Oh, it's been a good day. Been getting our soybean plots and corn plots out for extension, and I'm glad we're about to wind that up. So
Good, good. Calving season. We're about done with calving season. I think you're just kind of in the middle of it there, huh?
yeah, we got some commercial heifers calving pretty wide open right now. So it's been interesting the last few days.
It's always fun and busy.
That's right.
We don't have any sales to go over this time around, since we're recording this a little bit early, but have a have a pretty cool opportunity to be able to interview the newest executive vice president of BBU, Dr. Joe Mask. How you doing, Dr. Joe?
Great, Josh. How are you and Jared this evening?
Doing great.
Doing good.
Appreciate you coming on and taking time out of your evening to do so.
Not a problem at all. Look forward to it.
Let's just start out. Tell a little bit about yourself. I know this is a new venture for, I guess, everyone pretty much. You've got experience in other breed associations and academia. Just maybe give us a history about yourself and that kind of stuff.
All right, Josh. Well, as you said, my name is Joe Mask. I spent about 9 years in the ag classroom teaching high school ag, and then I spent an additional about 7 years in extension as an ag agent, 4-H agent prior to going to campus at Texas A&M, working as assistant professor and extension specialist in the vet medicine unit, directing a youth program in all 50 states and 4 different countries for young people that wanted to become veterinarians. And so did that for about 5.5 years, and then had the opportunity to go to work for the American Brahman Breeders Association I'd been part of since I was 12. We do run a set of cows, my wife and daughter and I, Brahman, Simbra, and Simmental cows. And so had the opportunity to work for them for right at 3 years. And then the phone call came in about June and asked me if I'd be interested in talking about the BBU position. And so always liked the Beefmaster breed and the people and the cattle. Had the opportunity to judge the cattle over the years in different places. And so taking that new responsibility on as the EVP of Beefmaster is been a challenge the first 35 40 days, just trying to get to know the whereabouts of what's going on in the breed, but do look forward to things that are upcoming, and I know that we're going to talk about a lot of different things when it comes to BBU tonight, especially when we talk about the move and to College Station and what that looks like, as well as some of the integral parts and things that I'm going to be trying to look at and kind of analyze. And then I'm looking forward to the convention next week to be able to give a report to the board of kind of my plan. And so still kind of hashing that out, but I think that got a good idea of kind of where I want to get started with the board.
Sounds great. And we'll try to, and I meant to tell you this, we'll try to keep it as lighthearted and informative at the same time as we can. We don't want to, we know you just came in, so we don't want to hammer you too hard on stuff.
Okay.
Definitely a big transition for sure. So I guess getting kind of started, you did mention the move to College Station. Can you tell us a little bit about that, and and maybe add on to what you think how it'll help our members at BBU?
Okay. Well, Jared, we one of the big things the board wanted was to move the office to College Station, and one of those aspects and the pluses is to work with the university system here in College Station. But we have secured a location on Texas Avenue at the Metro Center. I went by yesterday. They've got the paint just about finished and started on the carpeting and getting that building space ready for us. My main focus is during this whole move is the least amount of disruption that we can have for our members, the better. And so we're going to make the move in 2 stages. Part of the move will be done November 1st. The second part of the move and final move will be done December the 19th. The good thing about technology today is that with web-based phones and internet and wireless capabilities that we have, we'll be able to maintain the phone number of BBU. So nobody's going to have to worry about and learn a new phone number. They're not going to have to reprogram their phones for that number. And so that's going to be, an easy part. The probably the most challenging is just moving the mail. But we will have a PO box in Bryan, which would be a little different than getting it right there at the office in Bernie. But we'll be sending out newsletters. We'll be sending out, social media posts and emails, and also working on a postcard to send out where people understand that during this move, here's the changes we're going to make, especially when it comes to the address of the building. Now, there's kind of a twofold deal. Is moving the office. Number one is being back close and working directly with academia here in College Station and around at our extension and research centers around the state, as well as working with other universities. We're not just going to say we're just working with Texas A&M. We're going to work with all of the universities that will take us on. We've already got some work being done at Oklahoma State. We've got some work being done at the Noble Foundation. So all of that will be part of it. And then one of the pluses that I found when we moved the Brahman office from Houston to College Station was labor, student labor. And, to have interns and have student workers that are probably a little more economical to have on a part-time basis, as well as them getting an experience in the beef cattle world and the breed association world. And hopefully one day we'll find that, employee that we want to hang around and keep around. And so that's another plus being here in College Station. And so, there is a little bit of heartache moving out of Bernie, and I understand that. But I will give everyone my word that we're going to be, cognizant of everything we do, and also to make sure that this is the least amount of disruptions on our membership. And so looking forward to that. And it's November 1st to be here before you know it.
It's coming quick. And it's something, I have wrote down here, how does it benefit BBU? And you've already said some of what it is going to benefit. And, I've heard people since then kind of wonder why why are they moving? Why are they doing this? And I think what we don't need to lose sight of is BBU is doing this to help the membership, to help the breed, and for nothing else, as far as helping the genetics. It's got to be something that's good for everyone.
Yeah, and Josh, and I think that's right. I mean, it's for the membership, and I think that when we look at the overall picture, is how do we help members, and how do we help Beefmaster stay at the top of the beef cattle world when we start talking about that. And also, I'm a big research guy and a big data collection guy, and so working with faculty on campus to help us, if it's breed improvement, if it's something that maybe we want to look at a little bit more in depth when it comes to the 6 essentials of how this breed was established. When we talk about fertility, or even we talk about conformation or milk production, because there's so many genetic tools out there at our disposal now, and having leaders in that field across the U.S. To work with and being tied in to those professors, I think it's a benefit for all members.
Sure. Why not use them? So
yeah, I agree with that. I mean, being close to that talent pool right there close by, and getting good employees is a good thing, and helping with that data collection is going to be awesome.
Absolutely, I agree. So maybe going a little bit away from the move, let's go, in your opinion, as far as the Beefmaster breed, Beefmaster cattle, what would you say is maybe some of the top things they have going for them as far as the cattle themselves?
Well, I think, Josh, one of the things that I go back to over and over when people ask that question is I do go back to the six essentials of what this breed was developed on. Number one, we all sell by weight. If we sell across the scale, we're selling by weight. And so we know that these cattle will wean off a calf that's going to have some weight going across the scale. We know that this breed has great conformation. Done a lot of work over probably the last 10 years, in my opinion, working on feet and legs. And when you start looking at some of the country these cattle are ran on, conformation is very important. And I think that's one of the things that we do have going for us. I look at milk production in correlation with fertility. We've got to have cows that can raise a calf, and they've got to be able to produce that milk for their babies. So we get those higher weaning weights. And I think that getting these cattle bred, 16 to 18 months of age, getting that first calf in them and then keeping them in a body condition score, we can get them rebred. I think it's important. And I think that's one of the things that the Beefmaster can do because number one, we do have fertility, but we have seen across, some of the other breeds as well as over some of the years that Beefmaster's done a really good job of moderating their cattle and keeping them in a moderate frame where that body condition score in all different types of climates, topography, conditions, and with going through drought conditions again in Texas, this is important to have those cattle that can rebreed. And I think that goes back to the hardiness of the breed as well. I was in South Texas at the car sale over the past weekend, and you get down there, it's a pretty rough country in Floresville and going south. And as a breed, I think the breed has done a great job of working on navels and underlines and sheaths and bulls, as well as females. And so they've got to be hardy on their feet and legs, but they've also got to be in these rough topography of the land. And then, we talk about disposition and we talk about the world we live in. We've got to be able to work these cattle humanely. We've got to be able to, let people that are seeing us from the outside, knowing that we can do things the right way. And I think if you have a great disposition on some cattle, that helps us. Now, am I going to say they're all that way? Probably not. There's no cows, no breeds are like that. But I think that that's one of the things that we have. And then on top of that, I think that you get away from the six essentials and you start looking at carcasses. We are a maternal breed. Beefmaster's a maternal breed, and we're never going to go away from that because that's our signature. But we do have to have a place to sell our steer calves, and I think that with 80 to 90% of the U.S. beef being choice or higher, I think our cattle grade, and I think that they can do well on the rail, as well as bring some premiums to our members. And so that's some of the things that I think that Beefmaster has going for them, and I think those are things that we continue to work on to improve every one of them.
Lots of good comments right there. I agree with you 100% on all that. I guess you kind of mentioned I know you're working on a plan and may only want to say so much until you talk with the board on it, but what are some things you see with BBU kind of coming in the years that you think that we could build on and work on, and what's kind of some ideas you think we might do?
Jared, I think one of the things that is kind of in the forefront, and I think that one of the things that we all have to do is, we've got to tell our story. We've got to tell our story not only domestically but internationally of what Beefmaster is, and we have to make sure that Beefmaster is synonymous when people talk about the beef industry or beef cattle. I've heard times and said, well, it's a composite breed. Well, at one time it was in the developmental stages, but it's a breed. It's a purebred breed of cattle that have made, improvements and leaps and bounds over the last probably 5 to 10 years. When we talk about, how the cattle adapt, but one of the other things is the biggest probably thing that I can say is that I'm going to be pushing is data collection. Phenotype data, excuse me, is important. Correct birth weights, weaning weights. If we can get yearling weights, if we can get scan data, on some of these cattle as well as harvest data, that phenotype is going to help us in the industry. And I think that Beefmaster's done an outstanding job of pushing genomics, another great tool for people to use, as well as the work that we've done on adding some different EPDs and different indexes that help producers in making those breeding choices. And so those are going to be some of the things that I'm going to be working on and kind of striving for, as well as others. But those are probably the two biggest.
And they're very big. I mean, that's some of the biggest ones that even on this show, different episodes, we talk to different folks, and that's what they tell us. And that's a lot of their advice to breeders is, get your data collected, make sure you're collecting it, because it does nothing but help the entire breed at that point.
Exactly.
It's hard to improve on something you don't measure.
That's it's
And Jared, you being an extension, you know all about measurements, don't you?
That's right.
It's virtually
That's a
impossible
go-to
at that
saying
point.
there.
So we know kind of what Beefmasters have going for them in a good way. Let's turn that around, and let's say, what are you hopeful that we can do better as a breed whole moving forward?
Josh, I think one of the biggest things is marketing. We talk a lot about, where do we fit in, and how much of a state do we have, a profit share, as well as selling bulls to, commercial breeders. And I think marketing is important, but not just having an ad in a magazine or a Facebook post, but going back to telling our story, showing the data. There's some really good data. I don't want to talk about all of it right now because I haven't analyzed it all, but there's some really good data out there on Beefmaster sired calves going to the rail. And I think those are the kind of things that we've got to look at. I think we're also going to have to do a little bit more work to make people understand that, we've got a tender product. So maybe some more work with Warner Bratcher Shear Force on some of these carcasses, as well as we're collecting data. And I'm not talking about just collecting carcass data, in Texas. I'm talking about having steer gain programs across the U.S. In different states, Tennessee, Florida, different areas where these cattle can thrive, and then collecting data where we can show and we can prove that, Beefmaster sired calves can do this. What can we do better sometimes is turn in the bad data. I think too many times breeders, they want to share the great data with the association, but I think when you're really trying to improve, whether it's an EPD or a situation, it's turning all the data, even if it's bad, even if you don't like it or you feel that, hey, this is not really something I want to share. Go on and share that bad data as well, because I think it's still important to know where were we and where are we going. And so those are probably some of the things. Marketing, sharing all your data with the association, and knowing that data is not going to be out there for everybody to see. I mean, it's part of research, and it's part of trying to improve. It's not saying that X breeder is better than Y breeder. It's let's put it all together and then figure out where we're at.
Well, and it does nothing but help the breeder themselves if they're putting in, the bad data along with the good data, because at that point they can compare their calves in their contemporary groups, and figure out where they need to cull or where they need to do better. So, I mean, that does nothing but help them. So I agree with you. I think, good, bad, indifferent data, it's very important to go in.
But I think too, Josh, one of the things that I would say that, we've got to do more of, and on what you just said is education. Educate the breeders about, what that contemporary group means. Why do you need to contemporary group those calves? And then why do you need to turn in everything? And so I think that if somebody's been in education as long as I've been in, that's one of the things you keep striving to make sure that people are understanding, but they're wanting to learn and do better for their herd because a lot of times I've got a good friend that coined this phrase, and I use it a lot. In breed work, we worry about breed improvement, not herd improvement. And so we're going to help you on your herd, but we want to figure out how can we help the whole breed. And I think that's the way that we can do it.
And I think that'll work hand in hand. I think if the education gets there and more folks start learning and doing to help their herd, I think it's going to help the breed as a whole, personally.
Exactly.
And something go back to marketing. Me living on the East Coast, and I know everybody probably gets this, but around here, in the Carolinas, it's still, Beefmasters are being more known, but they're not. They're growing, but they're not where any of it needs to be. But it's always, you talk to someone that don't know, and they're like, "Well, what's a Beefmaster?" Now it's, well, tell me what the differences is, or instead of, kind of against Angus or Hereford or something. And I just tell them, when we first got into this, we had Beefmaster bull and some commercial cows, and it was the best calves I had ever seen. We had ever seen in our entire lives. And I just kind of leave it at that. And I tell them if they want to see more, come check it out. But marketing, I agree with you. Marketing is a big, big thing.
Well, I think too, Josh, one of the things that we're hearing a lot about, we're hearing, global warming. We're hearing the world in general is getting hotter. Whether, where we're at on that, but um, there's going to be more and more places in the U.S. and internationally that are going to need Bos Indicus influenced cattle in those areas. And what better to put an animal out there that's hardy, that's got some fertility. We know that good disposition, but at the end of the day, those producers worldwide can wean those calves off heavier, and go to the market and make more money. And I think that that's the other thing that I think that we're going to have to really pay attention to as we're moving forward is marketing in those areas. Just like you said, that maybe they're not already familiar as much with Beefmaster, but we're going to have to educate them on what they can do for them.
Absolutely. And
Most definitely, I agree with that 100%. Because even in Tennessee, where I think this is the perfect place for a Beefmaster. We still got all those black-hided Angus, and they're breeding Angus on Angus, and once you get people to try it, they kind of see the difference, and slowly and surely I see a lot of difference coming in. And that, like you said, the education part of it is something. And also, like I said, you got to have a market for them too. And that's something I think we all can work on together.
Well, and I think there's a stigma too around, in the past, people getting docked on ear, docked on navel, but you don't have that problem with Beefmasters as much as you used to, especially with navel. I mean, a lot of that's cleaned up, and you're not seeing people get docked like that anymore. And you guys know as well as I do, commercial cattleman's going to do whatever puts money in his pocket. If you can prove to him that Beefmaster is going to put money in his pocket, you've got a customer. I mean, the Beefmaster breed's got a customer.
For sure. I think that's spot on. And I think that's why telling our story and sharing that data, especially with commercial cattlemen, um, is imperative to all of us.
I know we've talked about it a lot. That was kind of one of the questions we had down here. And you definitely give a lot of answers probably to this question, but I was may go ahead and ask it anyway. In your opinion, is there anything else we could do to grow our commercial market? Because that really is what's going to drive membership growth and our market, And I thought I'd just throw that out there, kind of round it up.
I think, Jared, the other thing is on top of marketing is being in front of those commercial cattlemen. Finding those opportunities to talk about Beefmaster in different areas, different states, different conventions, forums that commercial cattlemen are at. I think it's very important for us to be, um, for us to have trade show booths at some of these events as well. That Beefmaster logo and the Beefmaster name stays out in front of commercial men and women, and I think that that's what they might not the first year, they might not buy a bull, but maybe the second year, if we can stay in contact with them and get them something like the pay weight or get them the magazine, where that they're seeing the importance of the breed. And I think that's where we're going to get the mileage because, you know, there's a many a bull needed. And I'm just going to say in the state I live in Texas. And I don't think we have near the amount of Beefmaster bulls out there that we should have. I will tell you that, in my opinion, there's not a prettier female, um, probably than a Beefmaster Charolais female. I think that we bring some of that power and thickness and look of the Charolais, as well as the look and the overall longevity and the feet and legs of the Beefmaster, and those females will thrive. I think you can do it with a lot of other breeds as well, like Red Angus or whatever you like to cross them on. But I think when we get out there in front of these commercial producers and let them see not only us as a breed, but as breeders talking and pushing the good parts of the cattle. And, those testimonials, I think, are important as well. When you have a commercial breeder that's using Beefmaster bulls back on top of, some type of, commercial type female or a different purebred female, that we can share as well. I think those are the things that people understand better. Reading in a magazine that we've got a good breed's one thing, but if you have a testimonial uh, from a rancher that has 300 or 400 mama cows that they're running Beefmaster bulls on top of them, and they're talking about that just like Josh said, that cell-born check, they're going to be more apt to listen to us. And I think those are the things that we've got to be paying attention to.
I agree 100%. I really do. I guess maybe wrapping up the show tonight, we asked this to every guest we have on. One piece of advice you would give to a new breeder, what would that be?
Find a mentor. Find a mentor that will help you, no matter if you've been in the breed a year, 5 years, 10 years. Find somebody that you can bounce ideas off of. None of us know everything. Now, we claim to know a lot, but none of us know everything. And sometimes it's, if you can find that mentor, and I say mentor, it could be a friend that you can just call when you think you're fixing to get in a bind. But I think that's important. And I think that young people in JBBA need to do the same thing. If they're wanting to, improve their showmanship skills, find somebody that can be a mentor to help them. If you got a breeder that's wanting to increase weaning weights and he's tried everything under the sun, find a mentor, find somebody that's doing it, and talk to them and see what you're doing. What are they doing different? Same thing about marketing bulls. If you're trying to market your bulls and you haven't had anybody stop by, or they stop by and they never buy anything, find somebody that's doing that successfully. And I think that bouncing those ideas off back and forth is something that will not only improve the person that's a new member, but I think it also kind of reiterates to that person that's giving the advice what they're doing maybe is right, and they should keep doing what they're doing.
That's some pretty good
Oh, yeah.
advice.
I like that. I like that advice there. That's good.
And it was direct too. It
'cause-
wasn't. I wasn't. Let me think on that a second. It was direct. I like that.
Well, that's
Well,
I kind of like the way you talk there at the end. If you are mentoring somebody and they're coming for your advice, and then they are become successful from your advice, it kind of, like you said, reiterates what you're doing. So
yeah, absolutely. And it
good
gives
way of
everybody
looking at it.
something to compare to. Just like we were talking about comparing earlier. It does that also. So it's just it's a great deal, and it's a great breed to be a part of. Dr. Mask, I really appreciate you coming on tonight. I know being, I think you said this is the first maybe 60 days, 45 days. Appreciate you doing it. I know you're busy. But it means a lot to Jared and I for you to take time out of your evening and come on to our podcast and talk to us.
Yeah, most definitely.
Well, I appreciate the offer and the opportunity, and anytime I can help you, I'm just an email or a phone call away.
Well, I appreciate it. And Jared, you gonna go over a few of the sales real quick before we end?
Yeah, we'll cover a few of the sales coming up. To finish out October the 29th, we have the Red River Performance Bull Sale in Paris, Texas. Starting in November, they've got on November the 4th, we've got the Beef on Forage Maternal Commercial Replacements Female Sale, which is in McAllister, Oklahoma. Also on the 4th of November, we got the Premium Power Bull Sale. It's in Wauchula, Florida. November 5th, we got the Southern Plains Performance Beefmaster Sale in Valent, Oklahoma. And then November 12th, we have a couple sales. Got the Purple Premium Sale and in Natchitoches, Texas, and the OHOA Fall Sale in Springfield, Missouri. And November 19th will be the Collier Farms Performance Bull Sale in Brenham, Texas. So jam-packed month of sales coming up.
Still a bunch more, and then we'll do it all over again next year.
That's right.
But again, Dr. Master, appreciate it. Thank you a lot. I'll look forward to having you on again, and I hope y'all have a great night.
All right, y'all too. Appreciate you.
Well, we want to thank everybody for listening to the Beefmaster Banner podcast. Please know that we are on Apple Podcast, Spotify, and we are on YouTube. Just search Beefmaster Banner. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. We love hearing from you, and we'll see you on the next episode. Thank you.